Hey, what's going on YouTube? MarineX back at it again. This is my biggest swing to try to convince you to abandon the smartwatch. Shout out to today's video sponsor, Invair, and their A5 Tactical Field Watch. Now, I want to come at you in a couple of ways. First of all, Invair is sponsoring the video. They don't get to see the video before it posts. They're going to see it the first time with the rest of you guys. But regardless of sponsorship, the reason I like analog watches much more than smartwatches, and then just a step below the analog is a digital watch, is just for a couple of reasons. We're going to talk about them today. Now, for me personally, what is a smartwatch? What is an automatic watch? Well, first off, if you look here, an automatic watch is kind of like a symphony of parts. It's usually handmade. It is a craftsmanship type of piece. So a mechanical watch, specifically an automatic watch, has a rotor. It has a mainspring. It has a movement. Oftentimes, these things are displayed in a case, on a backless case, sometimes so you can even see those movements and appreciate how they work. The rotor itself is weighted, and when you wear this on your wrist, it actually continues to make the motor work so that you don't have to self-wind these things. So it literally, you can get between 36 and 70 hours of movement on a modern automatic watch, meaning you take it off your wrist, the reserve time is going to last approximately that long. The thing is, these things power themselves. You don't have to wind them up. You don't have to stay tethered to a charger. You don't have to worry about replacing the battery. You're going to have to do maintenance every now and again and all that good stuff as well. But I think that that's the first bottom line thing. Is just, you know, they kind of have that thing that it's a little bit more self-winding, whereas a quartz movement watch does have a battery. In theory, they're a little bit more accurate than you would get in a automatic watch, and I'll tell you what I'm talking about here in a second. But there's just something about being able to see the movement in the back of your watch, being able to see those motors and understand what you're getting out of it. And also, I like the way the second dial moves better on an automatic watch. So look, if we see here, this is the C5 Tactical and the A5 Tactical by Vaer. You can see that automatic movement has just more of a satisfying movement to it, but arguably the quartz movement is more accurate. I mean, I set these approximately the same probably 2 weeks ago, and you can see that the quartz movement on the left is a little bit more accurate, meaning that it loses less seconds. But here's the thing, this thing overall I love the fact that regardless of that, these are one of the special things about automatic movement watches that I think are way better than the smartwatch. Now, let's just define what a smartwatch is. It's a connected computer on your wrist. You can get an OLED screen, you can get an LCD screen. This one specifically is the Pixel Watch 3. Connectivity is dependent on Bluetooth primarily. Sometimes it needs to be paired to your smartphone. But also the thing about a smartwatch itself is you can change the design phase by just simply changing it out on the fly. Some of them are LTE, like this one is LTE, meaning that I could go out on a walk or a run with this watch and still be able to get my messages and phone calls. It has a bunch of sensors on the back, right? You're not going to get a bunch of sensors, whether how accurate they may or may not be. You get a bunch of sensors on the back of a smartwatch. That is kind of where, you know, the benefits that lie in a smartwatch, I think they kind of stop there, because with a smartwatch, you're going to get a maximum. I think I've seen the best on the market, maybe 48 hours from some of those bigger Samsung and the bigger Apple Watch Ultras and stuff. You are tethered to a charger. And no matter how you think of it, lithium ion batteries are designed to degrade over time. You see the sapphire crystal glass on my A5 Tactical. You see the lack of scratches. It's more resistant to scratching than the OLED screens, the Gorilla Glass Victus screens of smartwatches. That's something else I like a little bit more. But passing these down through the generations is something that can be done on an automatic watch versus a smartwatch. These things are designed to be upgraded versus being passed down. Tech moves very fast. If you own this watch 10 years from now, it would be like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And the fact is, you wouldn't believe just how fast these things can get outdated. For instance, this is my TicWatch Pro 2020. I got it in 2020. It's very slow. It's very old. It doesn't work as well anymore. And at the end of the day, I liked it for what it was, but this tech is much older. It's slow to actually click on the sensors. It has very few sensors on the back. It doesn't do as much as some of the new tech. And if I were to wear this in 2025, it will probably function just fine to get my text messages and to do stuff like that. But that's kind of where it stops there. I think that you are very much more limited when you decide to get yourself a smartwatch versus an automatic. So head-to-head comparison. Okay, so the automatic watch is powered by the movement, the kinetic energy of your body. Smartwatch is tethered to a charger. But let's talk about the maintenance over the years. In theory, if you upgrade your smartwatch every 3 years or so, and you're spending about $200 each, maybe $300 each, like I spent $300 on this Pixel Watch 3. If I do that 3 times, I've grossly outspent on most automatic watches on the market. They tend to maintain their value a lot better, and they're not tethered or completely hampered by things that are going on currently in today's current age. So even as technology continues to expand, or there's different watch movements that you can put in a watch, these things can be passed down to my son, can be passed down to my daughters, versus me holding on to this thing for the next 20 years and passing it down to a kiddo. Now, yes, of course, you should probably be getting maintenance on your automatic watch every 3 to 7 years or so, depending on whatever needs to be done to it. But even having to pay for that maintenance is still less than upgrading a smartwatch every 3 years or so because of broken sensors, battery degradation, old tech, whatever. And also, I have not seen in recent years any smartwatch that has used regular watch bands. Like my TicWatch Pro 2020 used regular 22 millimeter watch bands. It could be swapped out very easily. All these new watches nowadays all want their own proprietary watch bands, meaning you are dependent on third parties or the main parties themselves continuing to update the way that you wear these. The thing about the Wear A5 tactical field watch is this wears a 20 millimeter band, meaning that I do have a NATO strap on here, but if I wanted to, I can put the original bands back on here and just buy any Wear strap or any 30-party strap that's a 20 millimeter that I want and rock this thing out. So I think that makes a lot of sense as well. When it comes to cost, those are significantly cheaper than buy the proprietary stuff that comes from the smartwatch makers. So we've talked about the charging it and how it works every single day, but let's just talk about the experience that you have and how long these things can last. I honestly believe an automatic watch like the A5 Tactical Field could easily last you for decades if you take care of it. This, maybe not so much. My TicWatch Pro 2020 is 5 years old, does not get daily worn, is extremely slow, and the battery degradation is crazy. I just took this off the charger. I would be surprised if this thing lasts 7 hours. Whereas on this bad boy here, I might get 30 hours off of it, but that's going to be about it. This one has a reserve time of 48 hours to 70 hours, depending on how long you've been wearing it. Much better for longevity purposes. But even beyond that, the emotional connection I have with an automatic watch, significantly different than I have with a smartwatch. For instance, I was wearing a Wear watch, not the A5 Tactical because it wasn't out yet, but I was wearing a Wear watch when one of my sons was born. It was this one here on my wrist. So I remember every time I throw a watch on my body, even when that son himself turns 10, 11, 12, 20 years old, I'll always have that emotional connection with that watch. If you're the type of person that is in the military, this thing goes well if you're in uniform. It also works well in the office environment. I've worn this plenty of places in a full decked out suit. I've also worn these things hunting and in the range, or going out and throwing some skeet, and it just blends well for all of them. Plus the water resistance is crazy, crazy good. Now, those are some things I like about it, but we got to just keep it real. There are some things that the smartwatch does a little bit better than an automatic watch can do. Accuracy's sake, the smartwatch is God tier. I mean, it's connected Bluetooth or LTE. It's going to be significantly more accurate than any automatic or quartz movement watch that you can imagine. I mean, it's a smartwatch. So that's one thing that kind of goes for it. It is giving you your messages. If it's important for you to stay connected to your loved ones, there you go. You're always going to be able to have that as long as the watch has connectivity and it's not dead. And at the end of the day, you can change these watch faces out very, very quickly on the fly. If I get tired of the way this one looks, I could just swap it out and there's no issues whatsoever. So that does give you a lot for more for customizing it. But I think that that's kind of where it goes from there. This Gorilla Glass is just not the most scratch resistant. And I have the 45 millimeter option, which is a little bit bigger than my 40 millimeter Bear watch. But for an everyday carry type of stuff, I would much rather have something that not only brings that timeless feeling to it, but also could save your life. I've done a video and I'll link it up for you guys. 5 different ways that a analog watch can save your life versus a smartwatch. If you use this watch properly, you line this thing up with the sun. This watch can help find which way is south whenever the sun is out. It won't work at night, obviously, versus this watch when it's dead. You're no longer going to have the features of having a compass on the fly, being able to line up the hour hand, being able to line up the minute hand along with some an object that you have on the ground and figure out which way the sun is being casted will help you figure out in navigation situations which way you are supposed to go. Even after the smartwatch is long dead, and it will die, even if you keep it on the most low power settings whatsoever, you're going to be stuck in that boat. I also believe that the materials used to make smartwatches are completely inferior when it comes to a real watch. For real watches or automatic watches, you're getting 316L. You can get some stuff that's made of titanium. You can get some stuff that's made out of gold, real silver, etc. Where you might get some stuff that has a titanium case, but there's a lot of plastic. Of course, there's the battery itself. And we don't have 70 years of studies to talk about how is Bluetooth around the human being for long periods of time, meaning smartwatches, Bluetooth headsets, Bluetooth on our speakers and stuff. There's not 70 years to see how is this around people. Is this really good for us? We don't quite know yet. Whereas there are decades, hundreds of years of studies to talk about how watches are, and they're not organically possibly hurting us. We don't know that yet for Bluetooth, but I will feel more comfortable wearing this for 30 years than changing this out over and over for 30 years, not knowing the effects it could have on the body. Finally, there's the tactical connection that comes with an automatic watch. In very, very quiet times, if I'm sitting in a tent or a deer stand, that tactical connection of being able to wind the hands, being able to do the lockdown, screw down crown that you get on this A5 tactical field watch, being able to actually listen to the tick of the seconds hand when I'm in a very quiet environment has a tactical feel to it that you just can't quite emulate with a smartwatch. Yes, of course, you can make it do the sound of an automatic watch. You can kind of sort of scroll through the menus and stuff like that. But once it's dead, it's dead. That feeling like you're actually being connected and you're being a part of your own survival is there when it comes to an automatic watch versus a smartwatch. I'm not saying 100% ditch the smartwatch altogether. I have 2 of them here, okay, just as an example of how they're still useful in my life. Smartwatches, great for when I'm cutting the grass, going out on a rug, just want to be able to track my heart rate, be able to see how many steps I've taken that day. Like here, it's already indicating I took this thing off hours ago and it's already indicated I took 1,900 steps because it's connected to my cell phone. So, that type of stuff is very, very nice to be able to have. But beyond that, it doesn't bring that type of joy. I'm not going to be passing it down to the kiddos. I don't think that those are things that are going to be happening. Now, one thing about Ver is they work on like a good, better, best on a lot of their watch lines. There is the S5 tactical field watch, which I don't own. There's the C5 tactical solar, which is a quartz movement, but it uses solar to actually recharge the battery and get that thing going. So this thing has a crazy good standby time. You get yourself about 6 minutes of sun. It can get you 6 hours of reserve time. But if you get 6 hours of sun, it gets you 6 months of reserve time. Like, it's crazy good on this bad boy. Those are from my experiences. And then you have the top of the line, which is the A5 tactical field, which is using the actual automatic movement here. Now, specifically with this watch, and just like most Vera watches, you get 2 watch straps when you buy this bad boy. You're not getting that same deal on, I don't think, any smartwatches that I can think of right now. I opted to go with the NATO pass-through strap, but you can also upgrade and get yourself something like the the tropical watch band if that's something you want to get, or you can just get a nylon strap, whatever works for you. And the crazy thing about this the A5 tactical field is I can just imagine this is American assembled. Name one smartwatch which has American assembly. Wait, I'll hold my breath so I can pass out because there's not any. American assembly, I can just imagine the person that has their hands and their tools and they're working with this 316L stainless steel, and they are slowly but surely making sure that this actual Japanese movement that's inside this watch, this Japanese Mayota 9015 movement, is working properly. They're making sure that the jewels inside are keeping the motor functioning correctly. They're making sure that the rotor is weighted correctly. They're making sure that everything comes together at once. And that's the type of stuff that I like when it comes to an automatic watch. I'm very confident that as this thing went flying down the factory floor and was put together by a robot, all those things were just kind of tested at the very end of the process, whereas this is probably being tested as it's being put together one by one. It even comes with a with the certificate of assembly, which lets you know the person who put your watch together, which I think is pretty dope. So I like that fact as well. You get a 2-year waterproof warranty with this because it does have a crazy 10 ATMs of water resistance. That means you can go tons of meters underwater with this. Now, I am not a diver. Okay, the deepest I'm going to be going in a watch might be 6 meters, which is like 18 feet if I'm in a pool that can go that deep. But if you are the type of person that likes to dive, you want a watch that has really good lume on it. That's another thing about the A5 line versus the C5 line is the lume, or the markings on the dial itself for the numbers are significantly better in the A5 line than they are in the C5. The paint is just stronger. Whatever the hell they put on there makes it just that much better. I also like the fact that it is assembled in America. I know that's a small thing and I'm kind of harping on that, but that does bring me pride that although they're gathering materials from across the world, when you got aerospace grade stainless steel, but you're hiring Americans to put this stuff together here in the States, which means a lot to me also. So if you want the sensory experience, okay, you want to be able to have the sensors and tell you what's going on, and you're always connected, which is the thing I hate the most about smartwatches, but you're always connected and people can get a hold of you all the time. Get a smartwatch. I would also argue that if I could only own one, I would much rather be unreachable and own a A5 automatic watch by Ver than to have a smartwatch and to be tied down. The enduring value and timelessness, number one. Number two is the freedom from charging and digital distraction. That's the second reason. Number three is the ability to save your life, being able to figure out how the hell to get out of a forest, okay, because your watch is not dead and you can actually use the sun to track you, is fantastic. Number four has to be the tangible aesthetic appeal. It's wearable art. Someone has actually physically put this bad boy together. It works, in my opinion, most outfits because you can wear it in all sorts of environments. And then number five has to be the deep emotional connection. Imagining the fact that I wore a specific watch when one of my kids was born, I signed the deed to a house, or I attended the funeral for a loved one, will always carry with me much stronger than if I can remember anything about a smartwatch. But comment down below, do you own both? Do you think I'm wrong about this? Would you prefer to have a smartwatch over an actual automatic? I think if you say yes, then you're just wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It's fine. It's nothing wrong with that. If this is your first time stopping by, hit the subscribe button. I would love to have you a part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thank you once again for watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.